Hey, happy to see you here today. This is our first show for this year. Welcome to Getting Real with Paula. And I want to start by wishing every single one of you for this 2021 much love, happiness, and peace. So, for most of us, we are starting this year with tighter public health restrictions. I want to remind you of the positive contribution we can still make in our respective environment if we keep a positive outlook on life, and the many, many, many blessings that we are still experiencing on a daily basis. Even though things might be tough, there are still certain things we have that we should take the time to appreciate, be it food on our table, roof on our heads, or the people that bring smiles to our face. Talking about smiles to my face, today I have one such individual with me, and I'm so happy to have Suzan Richards from the Cultural Heart Studio with me. Suzan has been a long time staple of joy and happiness for the Ottawa community, and she has touched, I dare to say, thousands in the last 20 years that she has been in business. But enough about me and the monologue. Let's begin our conversation with this dancing queen and uplifting soul. Welcome, Suzan. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us. How are you? And how has 2021 treated you so far?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me, Paula. This is, I'm honored to be your first guest for 2021. Thank you so much. 2021, no complaints, no complaints. I mean, I have to say, 2020, of course, it's been difficult for everybody, but I've had so many blessings that have outweighed the negative. I have absolutely no complaints. I am still living a life of joy and living my best life. And I'm fortunate that I still have life, right? So 2021 has been great. Thank you for asking. And yourself, how's 2021 been?
So far, so good. I'm having a blast. I'm still enjoying life. And let's just say I'm looking for ways to still make positive contribution and see how you help people for the greater good. And you do some of it via dancing. I do some of it, whether it's via coaching or via this show, the Getting Real with Paula. So I am doing good. So I'm going to ask you the first question that I'm thinking about, because I know you, you know me, but maybe not everybody knows you. So could you tell us a little bit about you and your journey to full-time entrepreneurship?
Well, I'll make it short because after I'm in my 26th year, believe it or not, 26th year of owning the Cultural Arts Studio. But it's really only in the last 3 years that I have done my full-time jump. Like as Steve Harvey says, you have to jump off the cliff to check if your parachute's going to open. So my parachute is open. I'm bumping into a few mountains on the way down, but my parachute is open. So the last 3 years, I jumped into doing it full time. I left my job with the city, a very secure job with the city of Ottawa. And I took a leave of absence first. That was scary because I didn't have the same kind of income coming in. And I felt that I couldn't just go into Costco and put anything in my cart. I really had to go with a plan with what I was putting in my cart. And so that was quite eye-opening. But then I also recognized that I still had a lot to learn, even though in entrepreneurship, I had been doing it for so long. I thought I had it all under control, but there was
Mm.
still so much that I had to learn in the arts. So I was fortunate to get a part-time position with an arts organization that I still work for in a different capacity, managing their office part-time. And that allowed me to learn on the spot, learn on the job, and meet other artists and hear what was happening and really have boots on the ground. So I stayed there for a year, and now I am full-time professional artist, and I can't believe it. This is my life. You
Yeah.
know, I can't wait to go on a plane where you put occupation, professional artist, you know, declaration. I can't wait to put that in. And so, yeah, I'm a full-time professional artist with Mask. That's the organization that I worked for, multicultural arts in schools and communities. So I get to go into schools across the region, as far as Brampton to Alfred, and teach Afro-Caribbean culture through the arts, as well as work in my professional capacity as director of the Cultural Arts Studio. So that's been my journey, and it still continues. It still continues.
And it feels as though you have your hands full. Can you share what the Culture Hot Studio is all about for you, and what is your longer term vision for the studio?
Right. Well, the Cultural Arts Studio for me is my heartbeat. Really,
Yeah.
it's my heartbeat. It brings me so much joy. You know, sometimes people will say, "Oh, Suzanne, you're glowing," or "You seem so happy," or yeah, because I'm doing what I love. I'm living my
Yeah.
passion. So the Cultural Arts Studio, in terms of its vision, what it is, it's a space, a dance space, dance, wellness, and community space that is open for children of all ages, adults, all the way up to 99. I'll even take you at 102. And we have dance programs, but I also create unique programs. So creating unique programs such as Saucy and Sweaty is something that I created. Shay is I created. And we've had a long journey. We've come from a community
Mhm.
center to now being in our own space in Overbrook, which is just amazing. We're located in the second oldest building in Overbrook. You walk in and you just feel like singing fame, you know? It's like, yeah, it's just a beautiful space. And the energy there is beautiful. So, and the community in Overbrook has been amazing as well. So the Cultural Arts Studio for me is exactly that, but we're growing and I've had to pivot and change. And, you know,
Mhm.
so we've added a nonprofit sector of it. It's called ACAI, which is the African Caribbean Cultural Arts Institute. And that's the other hat that I'm now wearing, still within the same umbrella, still in my passion, but bringing in other artists as well and other art forms besides dance.
Hmm. Wow, I'm telling you, you keep on taking more things. I don't think I've ever seen you small in anything that you do. So it fits to me, the image. Can you tell us, you've been building this baby for decades, and it feels to me that as I've seen you evolve over the years, that your vision goes far beyond than just dancing. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, part of part of our folk dances, part of our village is being able to tell our stories and reach people in different ways. So there's been a community program such as our Birds of Paradise program, which is for
Mhm.
seniors, and seniors get to pay only $20 for 17 weeks and come and not only dance, but really have that sense of fellowship,
Connection.
have that sense of belonging. It reduces isolation. It gets them moving. So it's a dance program disguised as a community program. Uh, we also have a program which is the cotillion that we do, the Afro-Caribbean cotillion. Of course, it was affected this year, but that's a mentorship program for youth between the ages of 15 and 22. That came out of dance. I was teaching a choreography, and I asked my dancers to give me their fanciest fashion show walk. And they walked like they were playing hockey. They were like on ice. You know? And I was like, Because I grew up in an era where we had school fashion shows, and we embraced femininity at that age, right? Whereas a lot of our youth are growing up in an age where they're told to hide their femininity, where they're told that don't wear certain things, and it's just a different era. So I wanted to address that in a Canadian, I guess, capacity, that
Mhm.
still making sure that we follow through our rites of passage as
Mhm.
young women in the African and Caribbean community. So that's where the cotillion came from. And of course, we do fairs and markets and all sorts of stuff. The community is I said the studio is my heartbeat, but it's the community that
Yeah.
pumps the blood into it, right? That allows me to continue to do what I do.
Um, like most entrepreneurs, I'm sure you have had to rethink your service delivery. And I've seen you on social media since the beginning of the year. And I'm just, to be honest, in total awe of what you do. And what are some of the lessons learned or discoveries that you've made through this time, this pandemic time?
Wow, that's a loaded question,
I know.
because I've been present because I had to be present. I felt this need to, even though, trust me, I wanted to hide under my covers and eat potato chips. That's what I wanted to do. But my love of dance and my love of community really just came out, and I had these opportunities with the National Arts Center to lift people's spirits through Afro-Caribbean dance. I had
Mhm.
opportunities through mask and doing balcony dancing for seniors all across the city. So when I realized how much joy that little 45 minutes of movement, and even if it's on someone's balcony and they're waving their rags, how much joy that brings to them, that's what gave me the strength to be able to do that. I have to be honest, I had moments of just like, whew, okay, wow, that's a lot, and so I had to learn how to balance. And
Mhm.
sometimes I have to tell you that when you don't know how to balance, the universe comes in and balances it for you. So I just before, in November, I had started rolling really, really quickly again. And I was kind of back into that, my routine, I was like Tina Turner, I was like going. and, and then the universe was like, all right, we're going to take away your voice. We're going to take it away. And I had laryngitis and I had to stop. I had no choice but to stop. And when I stopped, I realized how tired I was already. And I had just started getting back into it. So just a reminder for balance. That was the
Mhm.
universe slapping me upside the head. Take away your voice. That's it. You're going to sit down and you're going to take some time for yourself. So that
Hmm.
it's, yeah.
Uh, the question that comes to me, and I'm not sure whether your answer would be related to what you just said. What was the hardest, or what is the hardest lesson that you have learned, both as a mom and as an entrepreneur? Because there has to be quite a few things you've had to adjust.
I've got a lot of adjusting to do. I'm my 2020, I called it my year of full bloom. Okay. It's my year. Every year I give
Mhm.
theme. Okay. And I haven't given myself a theme for 2021 yet. So don't ask me. But for 2020, for 2020, it was my year in full bloom, that I was going to be my authentic self. Not only my authentic self in the community, or the face that people
Mhm.
see, because there is that face where people see, oh, teacher Suzanne, she's so holistic, and she never drinks rum, and she she never she's, you know there's, there's that whole community face, but then there's
Mhm.
also my mom face. 2020 brought a lot of changes. I'm a single mom, and I moved, and I sold my house, and just really had to come into my authentic self, but also my authentic self with my spirituality. A lot of times we think that I had a lot of stuff that was in the background for me that I
Mhm.
never really put out front, because I was scared of what people would think. What would people think if I started to talk about my African spirituality or those roots or the orishas, or if I publicly did that? Also balancing, I believe in God. Don't, let's not get it twisted. But I also believe in other things as well. So what would happen because of that face that people think, that people who are in the public or work in the public or work in community, of what people think? And I had to get to the point of, who cares? Who cares what people think? So my biggest lesson would be my who cares, would be my so what. Yeah. So I'm living my best life, doing what makes me happy. I'm dancing. I wear what I want to wear instead of worrying about, oh, what are people going to think, if I wear this, or if I go a certain place, what are people going to think? If I choose to, I don't know, go sit on a patio and have a Moscow mule, and it's funny because some people listening might be like, well, what's the big deal about that? I've been judged. People like, oh, teacher Suzanne, is that alcohol? And it's like, yeah, anybody who knows,
with limitation.
I'm the
moderation.
Exactly. I'm the cheapest date out there. One drink, I'm good. But what happens is that people would judge. People would judge, and I had to really just be like, whatever. Whether I chose to go eat Afghani food or Thai food or whatever, I would always be worried because I know my truth. I know my truth, that I support the community as much as I can, but there's nobody in the community that makes, my shrimp fried rice. So I've got to go elsewhere. Right. So I try as much as possible, but yeah, so I think my biggest lesson was understanding that someone might judge me, but it doesn't affect me. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change the essence of who I am. And I think the other lesson, especially through divorce, was reclaiming my name. That was huge for me. People, I'd introduce myself, and they're like, is that, and kind of those accomplishments that I had before under a different name are still my accomplishments.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of them. And because that's who I was, and that's who made me who I am today. So I think that reclaiming my name as a woman, after being known as something else for 18 years, has been quite a challenge, so big lesson.
Yes. And I have to say, you are glowing. I'm sorry. I just have to say, single or not, she is glowing. And I remember we've met years ago when my kids were barely 4 or 5 and a little over that. And I remember even then, because you mentioned that you had to reclaim your name. I remember the very first day I met you, it felt like, wow. It's just, you were so different than the expectations. And I can appreciate when you make the comment to the effect that people judge, because we still have those in communities, in the larger world, those expectations that people place on us. And sometimes we take them in without even realizing. And we find ourselves in all kinds of situations, like taking a drink in a restaurant in an early evening. I am not underneath the table, so am I allowed? So yeah, I totally understand. It's about being authentic. And if and it's not a compliment, I'm just gonna tell you, from the very first day that I've met you back then, authenticity has always come through.
Aww.
Your heart for people, your heart for dancing and for the community, to me, has always shown through.
Thank you so much.
So, gonna move into another area.
Okay.
If you know me, anybody who knows me lately knows that I'm all about boundaries.
Mhm.
What boundaries have you implemented in your personal and professional life that has created the most personal growth or space for you?
So in my professional life, because of everything that's happening, I feel like I've had to kind of start back at zero. Even after 26 years, I feel like there's so much that I don't know. And I have to be okay with that. That's
Yeah.
my personal boundary. Like, how the technology, so, you know, that's that's not my area of expertise,
Mhm.
so, and being able to teach online, it's all relearning. But the boundary around my professional life has been being okay with it, and knowing that once upon a time I may have been an expert, but right now I am not an expert at teaching in this way. So I've actually signed up for a course through the Black Canadian Chamber of Commerce. It's a mastermind class. It'll be for a year. I've made a commitment for myself, for my business, to understand that I don't know everything. I know
Mhm.
something, but I don't know everything. Right. In my personal life, wow, it's a heavy question, because in my personal life it's been about being who I truly am, being 50 and single again.
Mhm.
Woo, girl, it's not
It's a big
the boundaries that you have to place. The internet has it shocks me what people send over the internet these days, and has to be like, okay, well, I didn't ask for a picture of that, sir. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, throw.
And I'm kind of like shocked at, dating over 50, right? And
Mhm.
the boundary of really, like, this is who I am. I need nothing from another person other than to accept me as
Mhm.
I am, and to
Mhm.
accept the gifts that I give. You know what I mean? And I feel that the boundary has been, well, what can I do for you? It's like, you know, it's like
Hold on.
I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm financially secure. I'm good. I love what I do. You can support me. We could be, supportive, as I can also support you. But if you're expecting a, you know, over 50-year-old woman to come and do your laundry, I have a story to tell you. It's not going to happen. If I'm doing a load of laundry and you have stuff that's dirty, I'm gonna throw it into. This is not a true story, by the way. But I'm just saying, it's just a metaphor that
Mhm.
you have. I've learned so much about relationships, not only about relationships with romantic relationships, but with relationships with other women, my friends, you know,
Mhm.
and learning to listen to my instinct. That has been
Mhm.
huge for me. Listening to spirit and letting spirit guide me has
Got
been
you.
has been my boundary. If my spirit, you know how Caribbean people are, my spirit don't take something. My spirit, nope. And my kids will tell you, they'll ask me to go someplace. This is pre-pandemic. Mom, can we go wherever? And I could say yes, but then I'll be like, you know what? Spirit tell me I can go. You know,
Mhm.
and they're okay with it. But that's, again,
Mhm.
me being open with them about
Mhm.
my beliefs, my feelings, my authentic self. So yeah, I'm just letting spirit guide me.
And I would say for me, always go with authenticity and that intuition within. There are so many things that we know within that we don't give enough credit for. So
Right?
by recognizing this, you're actually making more space for yourself.
Yes,
My
thank
take.
you for that. Thank you for that. And it's the utmost truth. I feel that I feel the change. I feel the shift. Realizing that people might call it selfish, but it's not. It's taking care of self. That's where the whole word comes from. Self is the big part of it, and then there's a letter I. So taking care of myself, you know,
Mhm.
it's okay. And especially for women, especially for women of African and Caribbean descent,
Yeah.
we're really not good at taking care of ourselves. So I'm happy it's part of what I do at the studio, but I drink my own juice. You know what I mean?
And it's important, as you say, to drink your own juice because I think, and I totally agree with you, as females, and also as member of our community, there's this sense that we're meant to take care of everybody. And if there's a little bit of overtime, then okay, have a glass of water. So it's just like, oh no, we need a lot more of that because at least I know for me, I've seen you work in that field for years. I've seen you give and give and give way more than you would have in other classes. But most of everything, what I remember is that sense of being at home,
um,
being in that community where people, and I'm sure, and I see some of your posts, it's like people do things for you because they know you and your heart. So from that, it's a completely different conversation. And it's important for us as women to realize that we don't have to keep overperforming, overproducing for people to actually acknowledge that we are good enough, that we have a reason for existing aside from the cooking, the taking care of XYZ. So yeah, definitely. Next question for you.
oh, I'm on the
What
hot.
would be the top three nuggets that you would give to women interested in building their idea into reality? And I'm talking as large as you want to go, be it in a business, be it in a social enterprise, or being in wanting to become more of a leader myself.
My biggest advice would be to have a plan and write it down. Don't, because a lot of us have a plan. We think of all these great ideas, but we don't write it down.
Mhm.
So have a plan, write it down. Then turn your plan into a business plan. There's a difference between I just want to do this and actually putting it into what in the format of a business plan. Then recognize that you're going to have to change your business plan as life changes. Sometimes we write a business plan. If I take my business plan of 26 years ago, it no longer applies, right? My business plan changed once the pandemic hit. It's probably changed 6 times,
Mhm.
since the pandemic hit because business changes.
Mhm.
My other advice would be don't be afraid to ask for help. You mentioned people helping me, and that took a long time for me to be able to accept. I
Mhm.
have to admit, because my superwoman cape is velvet. It's velvet. It's got some kente cloth around the edges. It's real nice. Okay. And it took a long time for me to realize that I don't always have to be walking around with my
Yeah.
superwoman cape, no matter how beautiful it is. It took a long time
Mhm.
to figure that out.
Mhm.
So, and accepting help, even as little as it is. I have
Yeah.
seniors that come in with like whole chickens. Here, Suzanne, eat. You know, and I'm in my mind, I want to be like, oh my gosh, do I look that bad? Do you think I was hungry? Instead of realizing it and taking it as a gift that he's saying, you know what, you've had a long day at the studio, so here's a chicken so that you don't have to cook for your kids at the end of the day.
Mhm. Mhm.
So understanding that your narrative, your self-talk isn't necessarily the same as what the intention is and how
Yeah.
that's coming in. So I think that would be the other biggest lesson. So the other part is the third, that was two, right? Yeah. The third is be quiet and be still. You just, if you have a dream, you don't need to go and tell everybody. You don't need to go and I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And allowing other people's
Negativity.
yeah, whatever it was. Oh, you know what I think you should do? I think you should no. Listen. What I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me, that I've had an idea or had a thought, and I wasn't quiet about it. I didn't just do it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I allowed other people's influence to
Mm-hmm.
either deter me or change my path, just to end up on the same path anyways. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a waste of time. Be quiet, be still, and when you're ready, sure, share it with people that you trust,
Mm-hmm.
to give you like real advice, or real, like that third eye, they call it. In the
Mm-hmm.
arts, we call it the third eye. I could do a choreography and I might think it's beautiful and fantastic, and there's going to be people in the audience who are going to love it and not like it. Here, what we do is, our teaching team will look at something and be like, that part reminds me of this. And it's like, oh, that's not where I was going. Let me tell it a different way. But it
Mm-hmm.
allows me to recreate it and for me to do it differently. So yeah, being quiet and just being still with your dreams, and knowing that it's your dream, nobody else's. It belongs to you. Own it and just let it flourish and grow.
Mm-hmm. I think for a lot of us, when we, especially, I would say, especially when we leave the predicted path, there's that challenge of wanting to check with other people. But sometimes, as you say, the more people involved, the less of you is able to show through. So it's taking that time to stay quiet, make space for myself and my dream, and then start moving before you involve too many people. Advice, insight, great, but be selective, as you say. So, if you had one key message you would want to leave with our listeners, what would that be? One key message.
Choose a life of joy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's truly what's gotten me through um, everything. My journey, my everything. Motherhood,
Mhm.
business, friendships. It's my little motto. Maybe that should be my 2021. Choose a life of joy.
Yeah.
If I want to eat pancakes at 8 o'clock at night, I do. You know, and this, and because it made me happy in that moment.
Mhm.
It's okay if I have to eliminate people from my life in order to be happy. Then
Mhm.
that's okay. It's okay. So yeah, choosing a life of joy, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you joy.
Mhm.
Life is short, you
Yeah.
know, it's too short to be wasted. And I just think that if we choose a life of joy and use that as a basis for our decision making,
Mhm.
then you will truly be happy. So I'm just trying to be happy,
Yeah.
I just want to live a life that I'm constantly smiling.
Yeah.
I think I look better when I smile. I
Yeah, because we know this thing about the black woman eyes when they're
Yeah,
not happy. So
oh,
we don't want that. I can tell you a lot of things with my smile and my eyes, regardless of how I feel. So yes.
but I just
And
feel smiling it just makes such a difference. Sometimes and I think that's one of the reasons why now in the current state that we are with people wearing masks, you're not seeing that smile. You're not seeing that friendly smile in the grocery store. You're not seeing that, everybody's looking like this and you can't tell. So I've been practicing smizing, like doing like these little things with my eyes to, I'm not winking at anybody.
and they're wondering whether it is sending the actual message I wanted to send or not something else. And sometimes it's just, you know what? You don't know, but I'm smiling at you right now. So the
And,
person figures that out. Question for you. How do people get in contact with you if they want to know more about you, more about your foundation?
Yeah, the best way, is either through our website, because all of our contact information is there. So cultural
Okay.
arts with an S studio.com. You can call me, 613-863-3493. You can email me, culturalartstudio@gmail.com. Once the pandemic is done, come visit me. Stop by the studio and come and see the space. And
It looks
experience.
amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have so much more growing to do, especially as we're merging Akai with it. So, our reference libraries coming, like all sorts of programs, music, all sorts of programs are coming. So I can't wait for the pandemic to be done. I'm going to go on a plane, go sit on the beach, recharge vitamin D, and then come back and be ready. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how people can get in touch with me. And if you can't get in touch with me, it's because I'm getting in touch with myself.
Which is good. So message to everybody, make time for yourself. It is not selfish, it's about self-care. I cannot pour from an empty cup. So therefore, Suzan said, if they can't reach you, it's okay. Take care of you.
Exactly. Leave a message. Like, we live in such an instant society. People will call and call again 5 minutes later. I'm like, I was teaching, or I was unavailable.
Yes.
And
I don't have to tell you what I was doing. Just unavailable.
Yeah, we just need to
Space.
just breathe and understand that your contact, your communication is so important to me that I might not return the call right away, but it's because I want to take the time to be able to have the conversation and discuss your wellness journey with you. I don't want to just be like, hey, da da da. So hopefully we'll get some funding and we'll be able to hire a receptionist. But in the meantime, it's me. I am reception, dance teacher, janitor, as well as
mother, entrepreneur. You also work. You still work at with masks, because I've seen you do things.
I do.
And it's the funny part. Hmm?
I'm so thankful for that work, because it has opened doors that I've been trying to kick down for a while. It's hard to get into schools, but when working under masks, because we're all vetted, we're auditioned, we are police checked, we are, what I mean? Like, it's not just anybody who's going in to teach these students. So I consider it an honor. And the other thing I want to say is, if there's any artists listening, please value your work. Please value your work. I cannot say it enough. Nobody walks into a hospital and says, excuse me, would you like to donate heart surgery? Or would you like to donate? Like, nobody asks that. Nobody walks into a dental clinic asking, for, can you donate a crown for my next fundraiser? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't do that. I'm a professional artist. This is what I do to feed my family. So yes, it feeds my soul, but this is what I do full time to feed my family. So respect the artists, respect painters and singers. So you can't just be like, oh, just sing a little something. We prepare, just do a little something. You're a dancer.
Yeah, and it's thank you for flagging that, because I think in our larger society, there are jobs where people feel it's easy. I don't think you studied hard enough for it, so therefore it should be free. And I'm looking at it from the perspective, there are decades of wear and tear in that body that allows me to stand up and mastermind that stage for your pleasure. Please give me my own.
And we prepare for it. We don't just like.
No. And I love it, because I've seen you dance. I've been in your class. My children have been in your class. And I know the creativity, and sometimes the way we're on the outside looking as though, oh oh, Susan can do this in a split second. Yes, she can, but that's because of the expertise and the years of experience. It's not just because, hey, I was lazy. I just thought of it. Let's do this now. And that's the portion that we, as a larger community, and especially, I would say, when it comes to the pandemic and the fact that we have to look at things differently, it's a good moment to reassess what are those blind spots that I'm carrying and I am maybe transferring to other people. Because it could be my child wants to be an artist, but I'm like, yeah, you're not going to feed your family with that. Now they can say, Suzanne does, and that's the part where, as parents, as I would say, as a community, as support system, need to look at things from a different perspective. If pandemic has shown us anything, it's this sense that what we take for granted is often what nourishes us in times of stress.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you, you love what you do, and it shows.
Thank
And
you.
that's also, chances are, what nourishes you and allows you to go through whatever hurdle life throws at you. Because guess what? Hurdles will take place.
Girl, the only good thing is I know how to like leap over them really prettily. But as a dancer, we know how to fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we take falls. Like, I don't want anyone to think that, it's all perfect and rosy and all that kind of stuff. This is 26 years in the making. This is 26 years of being scared to take that jump and being scared to leap over that hurdle, like you said. But it's learning how to fall, right? Learning, got to roll with it,
And then right back up.
get right back up, because nobody else knows. Like I always say in dance, no one else knows that you made a mistake unless you tell them. If they don't know what you were trying to express.
That's it. So thank you very much for starting the year with us on such beautiful message. My heart sings right now, and I hope that the people watching and are going to watch in the future will also get the vibe that you are sending us. And I wish you success, but more than anything else, happiness.
Thank you so very much for having me, Ashe. Thank you so much. I'm blessed to started. This is my first interview for the year, so I'm excited. This has been a great start, and I've had a great time chatting with you, Paula. It's nice to have that contact and those giggles.
Yeah, Paula comes with giggles. There's no hope with that. Which is good. So thank you very much. And don't be a stranger. If you ever want to come back and show us some of your love, or even share with us some of your progress on different files, please feel free. I think I know of people that you might not be aware of that got to know you over this pandemic session. And I remember this one person in particular, she contacted me and tell me, I discovered this lady. She does this. And then she's telling me what I said, is that Suzanne? She said, yes. How do you know her? And I'm like, yes. But more than being happy about that, I'm like, it's going to be great. If you're in Suzanne's hands, you're going to have a blast. Because even through the screen, you have this way of coming through so strongly and so warmly at the same time that I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Thank you for keeping us happy the whole season through.
Thank you. I look forward to dancing with you soon.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm retired now. So I can do anything I want whenever. So we'll see. So you take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.